Japanobloggers. Today we're actually making a very simple dish called Soboro. The official name is Sanshouku Soboro Don. Basically it's a 3-color rice dish. Now for this dish we're actually going to do it in 4 steps. The first step is prepping the chicken or the meat. In this case I have pork strips, but that's okay. Second we'll be making the edamame, which is actually pretty easy. And third is, of course, the eggs. Lastly, we'll be actually making the dish. So first things first, whatever meat you have, the most standard recipe calls for chicken. In this case I have pork, you can use beef as well. Just something that's very thin and can be ground up easily. If you have ground meats, perfect. In this case I have strips, it's okay. But whatever you want around 200 grams of meat. Now this is very important because this actually gets part of the meat flavor out and actually into the dish itself. You want to take the meat in the pot, no heat whatsoever, and put the meat in with my meat. About 2 tablespoons of sake. Now the reason why you do this without any heat whatsoever is because you actually want the alcohol to break up some of the fibers in the meat. This way, the meat tastes less gamey and also less stringy depending on the meat you have. This works perfectly for strips or ground meat if you have it. Either way, just make sure you have the meat kind of covered in some sake and take your favorite spatula and just mix around for a few seconds. Kind of easy, right? Okay, let's move on. Once the meat is covered in sake and hopefully has a bit of the strange raw flavor out, what you want to do is you actually want to turn the heat onto medium to medium low. The reason why is because we're going to be cooking the meat, but not burning it so much. So let's go ahead and turn that on. Turn the gas on first. There we go. Medium low. So to get this cooking, the next thing we're going to need is 1 tablespoon of mirin, sugar, and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. So let's go ahead and start with the sugar really quick. This is your stereotypical white sugar, nothing special to it. So 1 tablespoon of sugar added to it. Okay. Next is the mirin. Mirin is basically sake soy, if you know what I mean. 1 tablespoon of mirin. Oops, spilled a little. Oh well, that's why I do it over the dish. Again, I'm going to use that later. And 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Low sodium or regular, it doesn't matter as long as you have 2 tablespoons of it. Okay, so now we're going to let that cook until the liquid boils off. You don't want to overcook it or else the flavor is just going to be gone. It's going to be kind of crispy. So just cook this very gently. That's why it's a medium to medium low heat. And let the meat cook in the sauce until the sauce is gone. This could take a few minutes, probably maybe 5 or so, but just keep an eye on it so it doesn't burn. If it burns, you kind of lose the flavor. If the meat still looks a little light, you may want to add a dash or 2 of soy sauce back to the mix just to make it darken a little bit. If you have chicken or beef, chances are it's going to darken immediately and your sauce is fine. But still, keep it moving so the sauce does simmer off. Again, don't let it burn or the flavor is going to be gone. Alright, so now that your meat's been set aside, go ahead and fill your pot or a second pot with some water. One to clean out the original pot if you're using it, and crank up the heat to high. Add a little salt to it to get it boiling away. Once it gets to a soft boil, go ahead and dump in your edamame. Now I have about 250 grams, maybe 300 right here. They're in the shell, that's okay, because we're actually going to be boiling these. I highly recommend boiling versus microwaving because the microwave version just doesn't taste as good. Boiling actually lets you get the full flavor of the pod and the bean inside of it. So, once that is soft boil, go ahead and gently add your edamame to boil for just a few minutes. These won't take long at all. Now you don't want these to overcook it again because of the actual soft bean inside. What you want to do is let them cook and just warm up for a bit, because that's all we're doing is just warming them up. We're not actually cooking them at all except in boiling water. Alright, so now that the edamame have been boiling for a few minutes, they're nice and soft, go ahead and strain those and keep them a little warm because later we'll actually be peeling them. Alright, so now that the edamame has drained, now what you want to do is get yourself a pair of cooking chopsticks for this. The reason why we're going to be using cooking chopsticks is because we're actually going to reach down and we're going to be breaking up the egg as it cooks. If you don't have a pair of cooking chopsticks, stop by your dollar store or pretty much any local market like Walmart or an Asian Mart and pick these up. They're actually pretty cheap. If you can't find these, you can use wooden chopsticks just as easy. I would not recommend plastic or ceramic as they may melt in the pot. May mate in the pot. That'd be kind of weird. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take our eggs and beat them up. Not too much, just enough to be kind of nice and silky and mixed up. Alright. Once you have these all nice and beaten, add them to the pot. There we go. Okay, now this part you gotta work out kind of fast. You want to scramble them with a dash of mirin, just a dash, about 1 tablespoon worth, and a dash of salt. There we go. Now you want to scramble these, but you also want to make it so that the eggs get broken up as they cook. This can take anywhere from around 2 to 3 minutes depending on how fast you cook your eggs and the heat you have on. I have it on about medium high, just because I want these things to cook. But you want these things to keep moving so that you break them up. You want the eggs to be in little tiny pieces. Make sure you get all the edges off. And again, the reason why we're using cooking chopsticks, because otherwise, if you're using a fork or short chopsticks, you're going to get very, very hot. Just go back and forth, crisscross pattern, break up the eggs, make sure it don't stick. If they are sticking, turn on the heat just a tad and start scraping everything off. Alright, once you have the eggs all broken up, don't want to overcook them, so if they look a little wet, go ahead and kill the heat and let the eggs cook themselves the rest of the way. Just basically carry over heat, otherwise you're going to have very, very dry eggs. Okay, it's got a little cooked, but that's okay. And nice and broken up. Alright. Now comes the assembly part. Okay, now comes the exciting part and the artistic part of this dish, assembling the donbori. So, first things first, you have all of our dishes, the meat, the edamame, and the egg, all in their own separate containers, and a nice big bowl of rice. If you have your rice ready, go ahead and fill it up about 2/3, maybe half full of rice, because we're going to be using the toppings to put on top. So, first things first, you want to take some of the egg, put it on one side, about half. Now, you want to take the meat and put that on the other half. Now you want to take your nice little precious edamame and sprinkle that right down the middle. Add as much or as little as you want. And there you have it. 3-color donbori, also known as Soboro. Now this dish is actually quite simple. Again, you can substitute pretty much any ingredients. If you have pork strips, great. Ground meat, great. You can substitute the edamame for peas if you want, not a problem. I don't recommend green beans, but peas or pea-like items work. And the eggs, unless you want to change eggs, I recommend eggs. Go ahead and mix this up, put on your favorite topping if you want. One of our favorite toppings is the shichimi peppers. Again, this 7-spice pepper that we talked about before. Just going to sprinkle that on just a bit. And mix up and enjoy. So, if you do make this, please go ahead and tag us so that we know our videos are getting out. And if you do like this, go ahead and take a picture, tag us on Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, anything that you want. We're pretty much on any platform. Share this video with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below, and we'll try to answer them as soon as possible. So, as always, have fun in the kitchen.